Well, it's about friendship and sex. It's about aging and the importance of a woman, because it's a film about women, a woman being able to decide from a fully authentic place when she's ready to give up hope of a relationship, hope for sensuality, hope for a love affair. It's not meant to make people who are older and not having sex feel bad about it. Nobody has to keep on being sexual later in life, but it should be up to us to make the decision. I'm 80, and I know from my own personal life that it's only over when you decide it's going to be over. And what the it is can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be relationships with a man or whatever. It can be the staying curious, the staying inspired, the staying involved with life and trying to make a difference and those kinds of things. It should all be up to us. And in the movie, my character is concerned because I'm afraid that my friends have given up when they're not really ready to give up. So my role is to kind of get them thinking about things that they haven't thought about in a long time. I think she's the maker of trouble. She's the stirring up the pot. You know, she's the, come on now, get off your chairs and let's have some wild fun. It's not too late. Let's do it. You know, she's brave, she's bold, and but she's not totally honest with herself. The rule of our book club at this stage is we're going to bring in, each of us have our month, bring in a book that's been a bestseller and that's been made into a movie. And so Wild was the previous book. And I decide that I want to stir the pot up, and I want to get my girlfriends thinking about sex, which I think none of them have thought about in a long time. So I bring in 50 Shades of Grey to try to titillate them and get them thinking. Vivian wants to be in control. She's very afraid, in fact, of being out of control. She owns the hotel. She lives in the hotel. You know, when you do that, it's like everything you want, from the food you eat to the people who carry your luggage, everything is, you know them, it's all pre-decided. There's no surprises. And then this man who she once was in love with and then turned down because she was too afraid, because her early experience in life is that if you love someone, they'll leave you and then you'll really be hurt and vulnerable. And so she sees him and it totally throws her, but then she pushes him away. For her, the book isn't a big eye-opener, but she knows it will be for the other women. But it's just fun for her to, like, scandalize them a little bit. She knows they're going to go home and be reading this and go, oh my God, oh, wow. I really don't think there's anything as important as my female friends. They give me backbone. They put starch in my backbone. They inspire me. They make me better, and they make me laugh. We're all older. I'm the oldest. I'm the mama bear. But, you know, we're none of us ingenues anymore. And we're all cognizant of that. And I think we're all aware of the importance of friendship now. So, you know, in our younger days, I know, just speaking for myself, I would make a movie and I'd like someone and we'd be friends, the movie would be over and you'd move on. I find on this, with this film, all of us are being pretty intentional about staying in touch. We want to foster a relationship between the four of us. I have never worked with any of these women before. I've known Candy superficially since she was 17 years old. I sort of like passed out when I saw her because she was so beautiful and smart and funny. So I've seen her and I've read all her books over the years. And Diane I've only watched from afar. with tremendous admiration and interest. She's such an unusual person. I mean, you can tell by the way she dresses, and that's just the outward manifestation. So I've made a point of reading all her books, to my great joy and pleasure and enlightenment. And Mary is to me like the perfect human being. I don't know. Her heart is as big as this soundstage. She is so generous and multifaceted. I mean, she's a singer, a songwriter. She has a place in Nashville where she works with musicians in Nashville. She's a very interesting, beautiful soul with so many sides to her. I've known Don, again, superficially, for a long time, but never really well. And he used to come to, when I had an anti-war organization here in Hollywood, and he would come to all the meetings. I found out later it's because he was trying to pick up the pretty girls. But I saw him in a movie that a friend of mine made, and he was so good. And he looked so good, and his acting was so deep that I said to Bill Holderman, our director and writer, I said, let's ask him if he'll do it with me. And I'm so glad I did, because we really got along really well. It's important for young people to see a movie like this, because we want them to be less afraid of getting old. I have spent time in cultures that are not youth-focused, and they're happier cultures. And so we want to try to reduce this tendency of anti-aging. I mean, I guess the main reason that everybody's so afraid of getting old is because we don't look as good, but it also maybe unconsciously is because we're moving closer to death and people don't want to die. But that's another thing. Let's get over the fear of death. There are cultures who are not so afraid of death. They say, welcome, hey, come and get me. I'm going to live fully, and I'm not afraid of you. That's a good attitude. So I think that people will feel hopeful and inspired by the movie. They created the movie, and they're the ones that chose us to be in it. And Bill is a wonderful director. I mean, we were all worried because he's never directed before. And, you know, there's 4 movie stars, and it's a comedy, and that's always harder. So, you know, it's complicated assignment. And he was just fabulous. I mean, he was comfortable in the skin of being a director, and we all enjoyed working with him, and we felt very confident in him. And when those pieces are in place on a set, then you can relax into friendship and fun. I've never played a character who's me. I think I'm more interesting than any character I've ever played. I'm much more multifaceted than most characters that people write. But I guess I'm a little bit of everything, you know. There's a little bit of the Vivian, because I like to stir things up and make trouble. And there's a little bit of Grace from Grace and Frankie and me, because I like vodka, and I'm not a very caregiving kind of person. And I don't know, they all have some part of me. That's the challenge for the actor, is finding what of yourself is in the character, and then how you can use new muscles in yourself to do something that's different than you are. For some of us, the journey to authenticity is a very long one, into our 70s and 80s. But I always say, it's all right to be a late bloomer as long as you don't miss the flower show. And I guess the flower show is death. So as long as you can accept yourself before you die, you've achieved what God, the higher power, the cosmic goddess, whatever you consider that larger force is, and what that force expects of us during our time on Earth, I think is to become authentic before we die. And some people achieve it sooner. I'm definitely a late bloomer. A lot of us spend way too much time trying to be perfect, which is an impossible, toxic task. So the goal is good enough is good enough, you know? And One of the things that I like about the book club is none of us are perfect, but we're all good enough. And we all come to that understanding by the end of the movie.